Hey everyone, my name is Carly Callahan, and the award-winning young adult book that I selected to read is Holes, written by Sachar. Here's the cover. For the longest time, I thought that his last name was Sachar. Very wrong. It is pronounced Sachar. There was another cover that looked completely different, but I chose this one because it reminded me a lot of the movie, which is the reason why I wanted to read this one, to kind of compare the similarities and differences between the two. This has 233 pages and is a very easy read. It only has 50 chapters, but each chapter is about a page to 2 pages, so super quick. It was published August 20th, 1998, and some of the awards that it has received is the National Book Award for Young People's Literature, the Newbery Medal, and in 2012 it was ranked top 10 among all-time children's novels published by the School Library Journal. Very popular book. Like I said before, this novel is a lot like the movie. I didn't find many differences between the two, which I kind of liked. I really enjoyed the movie, so I enjoyed the book just as much, especially trying to find some differences between the two. That was really interesting to me. This is a young adult fiction. Some of the main characters throughout the book are Stanley Yelnats, which is the main character in this novel, his best friend Zero, the warden, Kate Barlow, Sam, and Stanley's camp inmates, which they all received a nickname some way, and some of examples of the nicknames are X-ray, Magnet, Armpit, Zigzag. Very weird nicknames, but they all received one at some point. Some of the themes that I discovered throughout reading the book was power of fate, friendship, nature of cruelty and labor, and the importance of history, which history is a huge part of this book. If you didn't understand the history, you didn't really understand the rest of the book. So I thought the history is what makes the book. Most of the story takes place at the end of the 20th century, but like I said, there's a lot of flashbacks to the 19th century as well. And the novel takes place on Green Lake in Texas. It's described in the late 19th and 20th century. So in the 19th century, it was actually a lake. It had water, tons of it. And in the 20th century, it was completely dried up. Totally opposite from before. The book centers around an unlucky teenage boy named Stanley Yelnats, who is sent to Camp Green Lake, which is a juvenile facility in pretty much the middle of nowhere in Texas, after he was falsely accused of stealing very important and famous shoes. The plot explores the history of the area and how the actions of many characters in the plot and in the past, like Stanley's ancestors and his grandfather, have affected Stanley's life and his family in the present day. So a lot of what happens in the history is why Stanley and his family is cursed today, in the present day, in the book. The camp inmates are assigned to dig one hole each day in order to, quote, build character. And that is word for word what the warden says. They build character by digging holes, which in reality, they're digging holes to actually find something hidden beneath the ground. These kids, these inmates, have no idea what they're looking for. The warden really doesn't even know. She just knows that it's something super important and something that'll make her very rich if they do find it. Stanley's great-grandfather was robbed by the bandit known as Kissin' Kate Barlow, and she ended up burying the money somewhere, and then she dies before she can tell anyone where it is or before anyone can find it. So nobody has an idea where it's at. Hence why the warden is having all of these inmates build character by digging all of these holes to try to find it. Stanley makes a friend, a very close friend known as Zero, but his real name is Hector Zeroni. He is the great-great-great-grandson of Madame Zeroni. She's the one who actually cursed Stanley's grandfather and his entire family for him breaking his promise to her. Both Zero and Stanley eventually run away from the camp. They both help each other reach the top of this huge mountain in shape of a thumb. And because Zero gets very weak because of the lack of food and water that he's not getting, Stanley ends up carrying him the rest of the way up the mountain, where they find an onion field. Now, they get replenished with all this food and water, and then they end up deciding to go back to Camp Green Lake to dig in hopes to find whatever's hidden, which, again, they had no idea what they were looking for, even though it's Stanley's great-grandfather's chest. They ended up finding this chest, and it actually has Stanley Yelnats on it because through generation to generation, they have the same name. All of the sons are named Stanley Yelnats. So after finding it, Stanley was proven innocent on the theft charge shortly after they found the chest. At the end of the book, the Yelnats family curse was lifted because of Stanley carrying Zero up the mountain. He did what his grandfather didn't, which is carrying Madame Zeroni up the mountain. And since Zero is a family member of hers, it ended up breaking the curse. Hector, Zero, was reunited with his mom, which he hadn't seen for many years. And while fate has so often seemed very against Stanley, in the end it serves to help him, his family, and even Hector. So I really enjoyed this book. I do recommend it to everyone if you haven't read it. See if you can't find some similarities or differences between the book and the movie. I actually really like doing that for some reason. It interests me, and it was a really good read, really easy read, and I hope you all enjoy it.